and good morning, subscribers. Well, this morning we're continuing to work through the A2 macro course, and I've just recently covered this whole notion of the liquidity trap. So I thought, what better way to remind my students and my subscribers about the liquidity trap than to push a quick video out with regard to that very topic. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we have the three diagrams which I hope you are now familiar with for the transmission mechanism, which demonstrates to us the ways in which changes in the financial markets or the money markets feed into the real economy, and by that of course we mean aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So just a very quick recap: interest rates, quantity of money here, interest rate and investment here, price level and real economy, as you would be familiar with over here. So the interest rate is determined in the money markets, so where demand for money meets supply. That then generates a rate of interest, which subsequently leads to a level of investment, I1, and we then say, well, that level of investment must be equivalent to a particular level of aggregate demand, AD1, where AD1 is equal to C plus I1 plus G plus X minus M. And focusing here really on this level of investment in this particular example. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, that's the fairly standard transmission mechanism. Now, what would happen, and we've looked at this before, what would happen if there was an increase in the money supply? So here I'm going to shift this quite significantly to the right. Money supply increases to MS2. As a consequence, the interest rate falls. And again, the interest rate here, because of the very significant increase in the money supply, now the interest rate has fallen quite substantially too. Interest rate R2. Take that right across to investment demand, I2. So here you can see we've got a very significant increase in the level of investment demand, and as a consequence we would anticipate that that would push our AD curve towards the full employment level of output, and probably via the multiplier and the accelerator processes. And we might end up somewhere over here, AD2, where this time we're saying that AD has increased because primarily the level of investment has gone up from I1 to I2. And all the other factors, C, G and net exports, we're saying that they have remained the same, in effect, ceteris paribus. We're isolating them and making this link between the change in the interest rate and the change in AD. We're making that primarily due to the level of investment demand. Okay, so what's this thing called the liquidity trap, ladies and gentlemen? Well, this arises whenever the investment demand schedule is highly sensitive, or rather insensitive in this instance, to changes in the interest rate. Now that would mean, if you have a little think about that in your mind, you've probably clicked this already, that would mean that the investment demand schedule, or the investment demand curve, is very inelastic. Like so. Let's put this one on ID2. Now what does that mean in terms of our interest rates and the levels of investment? Well, if we take this original level R1 and just carry that on, that would mean that our first level of investment demand would be right there, I1. But yet, in spite of this very significant increase in the money supply, in spite of the very significant reduction in the base rate or the interest rate, the new and subsequently higher, it is higher but only marginally, the new rate of interest leads to a much smaller increase in the level of investment demand. That's it there, ladies and gentlemen. And so as a consequence, rather than AD1 shifting all the way around here, moving very close to the real economy full employment level of output and eating up all that spare capacity. Instead of that, maybe AD might only shift to here, to AD2. And so we end up going from Y1 to Y2 instead of maybe Y1 to Y2, which is way over here. So this is what is known, ladies and gentlemen, as the liquidity trap. It means that, particularly in this case, capital investments and firms who make these capital investments, they're not bothered whether the interest rate is 10% or 0%. It makes hardly a jot of difference, and as a consequence the investment demand remains fairly static. Now think about reasons why that might be the case. Why might firms, regardless of the base rate of interest and the level of interest, why might they be unwilling and reluctant to invest? Well, it can be to do obviously with confidence, it can be to do with uncertainty, and if you think about what has happened in the UK economy since the Great Recession, since the Great Recession of 2008, what was the Bank of England's immediate response to bring interest rates very swiftly down from about 5.25% down to an historic low at the time of 0.5% and a further reduction subsequently to where we are today to 0.25%. Have firms been purchasing capital equipment like it's going out of fashion? No, they haven't. Why not? Because there's this global uncertainty surrounding it. Think about the amount of money which has been pumped into the economy, not just in the UK, but globally. We have seen money supply ratcheted up like never before. So we've got 435 billion of QE into the UK economy, an additional 10 billion of corporate bonds, all into the financial sector. Have banks been able to lend this out because firms can't get hold of it quickly enough? No, they haven't. They're sitting on it in many instances. So we've got all this liquidity in the system, but due to this very inelastic nature of investment demand, this then becomes a bit of a problem, and we refer to it as the liquidity trap. And of course, it's not just our own economy where we've been pumping in billions of QE, America, Europe, everybody's been doing it. We're all playing the same game, but yet it's not yielding the significant gains in AD that theory certainly would tell us might arise. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the liquidity trap, and I will be back in the next couple of videos with crowding in and crowding out. Keep subscribing, send me any questions. The questions are coming in a little bit thick and fast at the moment, obviously as you finish mock exams and move into the real thing, so that's great to see, and bye for now.